In this startling near-death experience, former gay man Jonathan Reeves, aged 43, uncovers a harrowing truth about the afterlife that changes his life forever. What he witnessed will leave you in disbelief. My name is Jonathan Reeves, and I live in Portland, Oregon. Before I share my story, let me tell you who I was. I lived in a quaint two-story home near a serene forest, working as an architect for a reputable firm. I was openly gay and had been in a relationship with Daniel for 3 years. That day began like any other. I was driving to work in my Subaru Forester, sipping my regular caramel latte. The vibrant fall leaves were breathtaking, and the crisp morning breeze was invigorating. I had just ended a call with Daniel about our weekend getaway when it happened. Out of nowhere, a massive elk darted onto the road. Elk collisions aren't rare in this region, but nothing prepares you for a 1,000-pound animal blocking your path. I swerved sharply to avoid it, but at 65 miles per hour, my car spiraled out of control. My last memory was of my coffee spilling into the air as the vehicle tumbled down a steep slope. The crash was catastrophic. My car slammed into multiple trees before halting at the bottom of the ravine. The impact crushed the driver's side, pinning me between the steering wheel and the seat. A passing driver noticed the vehicle's wreckage through the trees and dialed 911. The rescue operation was arduous. The steep terrain made it hard for emergency personnel to reach me. It took over an hour to cut me free. By then, I had lost a dangerous amount of blood from severe injuries, for fractured ribs, a punctured lung, internal bleeding, and a traumatic head injury. I have fragmented memories of the rescue, the screeching sound of metal being cut, urgent voices shouting directions, and the helicopter blades roaring above. I was airlifted to Oregon Health and Science University Medical Center in Portland. The doctors later told me that I died twice during the flight, once for 3 minutes, then again for 4. Daniel, at work when he received the call, rushed to the hospital, but I was already in surgery. The surgeons gave me just a 20% chance of survival, requiring multiple operations to stop the bleeding and repair my organs. What occurred during the moments my heart stopped reshaped everything. The experience was so vivid, so undeniably real, that it altered my understanding of existence, life, and death. It wasn't the peaceful, loving experience often described in near-death accounts. What I saw and felt was entirely different, a truth that continues to haunt me. Before the accident, I was confident in my life choices. I had a stable career, a caring partner, and a fulfilling routine. Religion wasn't part of my world. Though I was raised Catholic, I hadn't been to church since high school. I assumed that if God existed, He would accept me as I was. But during those moments of clinical death, I was confronted with a reality that shattered all my assumptions. The moment my heart ceased beating, everything shifted. It wasn't like drifting into sleep, it was immediate and striking. I felt my consciousness separate from my body and hover above the helicopter. I could see the medics working frantically on my unresponsive form, but I was detached, like an observer watching a scene from afar. Then came the tunnel. It wasn't warm or inviting, but a swirling vortex pulling me with unimaginable force. The sensation was terrifying, like being swept through a cosmic vacuum at immense speed. Surrounding me were colors I couldn't comprehend and a deep, resonant hum that penetrated my very being. As I moved through the tunnel, my life unfolded before me, not as a simple replay but as a simultaneous experience of every choice I'd ever made. Each decision, every word, and action had weight. Lies I had told, people I had hurt, selfish choices, they all bore down on me like a physical burden. The most agonizing revelations concerned my relationships. I saw Daniel, not in the loving light I once viewed him, but as a mirror reflecting how our relationship was spiritually harmful to us both. What I had labeled as love revealed itself as darkness, each intimate moment creating stains on our souls. Like ink spreading in clear water, my childhood resurfaced, the fear, the confusion, and eventually, the defiance that led me away from the values I once held close. Suddenly, the tunnel ended, and I found myself in an immense space beyond description. It wasn't bright or dark, it simply existed, and I was no longer alone. A presence approached me, without form yet unmistakable. It was Jesus Christ. The recognition was instant and absolute, as if I had always known him but had forgotten. His presence was overwhelming, a profound combination of love and authority. This was not the soft image of Jesus from childhood tales. This was the King, the Judge, and the truth. In his presence, every excuse I had ever made for my choices crumbled. I could hide nothing from him or myself. He didn't speak aloud. Instead, his thoughts flowed directly into me, I felt the depth of his love, but that love didn't mean blind acceptance. I saw how my lifestyle, which I had rationalized as right and natural, contradicted his divine plan. The message was clear. My orientation wasn't the sin. It was my decision to act on it, to embrace it, and to let it define me. I saw how this decision not only hurt me but led others astray. Each moment I had encouraged someone to live their truth or validate their identity was shown as a step away from salvation, not toward it. Jesus revealed countless souls who had made similar choices. They were stuck, not in fire or torment but in a state of denial, unable to advance because they refused to face the truth. Many were religious, even Christian, but had twisted scripture to align with their desires instead of God's will. Next, Jesus showed me a vision of hell. It wasn't fiery pits or demons but a place of complete separation from God. Souls there endured the consequences of rejecting his love, existing in eternal regret. It wasn't punishment, it was the natural outcome of their earthly decisions. Jesus then revealed the profound beauty of his design for humanity. He showed how the union between man and woman was a sacred reflection of his love and purpose. Modern culture's embrace of alternative lifestyles wasn't progress but a calculated deception, drawing people away from truth. I saw my past actions through this lens. The activism, the conversations, the social media posts. Each became a heavy weight on my soul. Despite this, Jesus didn't condemn me. His love remained constant, urging me to accept the truth and guide others toward it. Finally, I was given a choice. I could stay in this realm and face judgment or return to earth to fulfill a new purpose. Jesus revealed two futures, one where I remained unchanged, leading to eternal separation, and another where I embraced his truth and used my story to help others. The decision was agonizing, but I chose to return. When I awoke in the hospital, I felt reborn. The physical pain was immense, but it paled compared to the spiritual awakening I had experienced. I knew my life with Daniel would never be the same. Explaining my experience to him was heartbreaking, and though he struggled to understand, I couldn't deny the truth of what I had seen. Today, I lead a support group for individuals seeking alignment with God's design. It's not about judgment or coercion, but about love and guidance. My accident didn't end my life, it saved it. Messages of hope and transformation continue to pour in from those who hear my story. True love often means speaking hard truths. I've lost much, but I've gained peace and purpose. If my story resonates, share it with someone who might need to hear it. I saw how my choices had impacted not only myself but those around me. Each time I encouraged someone to embrace their identity without questioning, thinking I was helping them be true to themselves, I was unknowingly leading them away from salvation. Then came the hardest part. Jesus revealed countless souls who had made the same choices I had. They were trapped in cycles of justification, unable to move forward because they refused to face the truth about their decisions. What shocked me most was seeing that many of these souls had been devoutly religious, even identifying as Christians. Yet, they had distorted scripture to fit their desires, choosing to justify their actions rather than align with God's true design. Jesus' presence guided me further to a vision that still chills me. I was shown glimpses of hell, not the dramatized version of flames and red demons, but something far more harrowing. It was a realm of absolute separation from God's love, where souls bore the full consequences of their earthly decisions. I realized then that hell wasn't a place of punishment created out of God's anger, but the natural result of rejecting his love and choosing to remain apart from him forever. Jesus began revealing the profound truth about sexuality and gender as he intended them. I saw that the union between male and female was not just physical but a spiritual design reflecting God's relationship with humanity. Modern culture's acceptance of alternative lifestyles, far from being progress, was revealed to me as a sophisticated form of deception, drawing people further from divine truth. As these revelations unfolded, I saw the unintended consequences of my own activism. Jesus showed me specific moments, conversations, posts I had made online, and young people I had influenced. Each memory weighed heavily on me, like stones tied around my neck. I could feel the spiritual harm I had caused, even when my intentions had seemed good. Yet even in this, I felt no condemnation from Jesus. Instead, his love was overwhelming, coupled with a deep desire for me to grasp the truth. He showed me how many of my friends, who appeared joyful and confident outwardly, were inwardly struggling with the same doubts and fears that I had faced. Then came visions of two possible futures. In one, I continued living as I had, remaining unchanged, and ultimately faced the eternal consequences of my choices. In the other, I embraced the truth, stepped away from my lifestyle, and used my experience to help others find their way. The stark contrast between these two futures left no room for doubt. Jesus made it clear that my same-sex attractions were not my fault. They were shaped by various experiences and influences throughout my life. However, the responsibility for how I chose to act on those desires rested with me. He assured me that, even if the attractions did not entirely disappear in this life, He would give me the strength to resist them and walk in truth. The most powerful moment came when Jesus showed me others who had made the choice to leave behind the same struggles. Their paths were not easy, they faced immense challenges, but the joy they found in living in alignment with God's truth far outweighed the hardships. I saw them crowned in heaven, their victories celebrated as a testament to their faithfulness. This part of the experience left me with a profound realization. True love doesn't mean affirming every choice someone makes. Instead, it means guiding people toward God's truth, even when it's difficult or countercultural. Then everything shifted. I found myself in a space that can only be described as a heavenly courtroom. But rather than being judged, I was presented with a choice. I could return to earth, armed with this new understanding, or face judgment for my sins in that moment. The weight of the decision was overwhelming. Returning would mean radically changing my life. I would lose friends, endure criticism, and leave behind people I deeply cared about, including Daniel, who had been my closest companion. Staying would mean accepting judgment for my unrepented sins. Jesus showed me that returning would serve a greater purpose. He revealed how my story could help others who were trapped in the same struggles, uncertain of how to find their way back. I was shown that my return could bring hope to others, especially those wrestling with the same questions and fears I had faced. Jesus revealed the immense value of sharing my testimony to guide people toward His truth. It was a call to be a voice of compassion and understanding for those seeking answers, helping them discover the freedom and peace that comes from living in alignment with God's design. My journey could serve as a beacon for others who felt trapped in the same lifestyle I once embraced. Jesus revealed to me how many people were privately questioning their identity but were too scared or confused to seek change. I was shown the network of support that would be available if I chose to return. Compassionate Christians ready to guide me through transformation, counselors who understood the deeper spiritual aspects of sexuality, and even surprising allies I didn't expect. The most powerful part of this vision was seeing how my testimony could bring hope and change to others. I was shown specific individuals, some familiar faces, others yet to be encountered, whose lives could be forever altered by my story. Their eternal paths could shift simply because I chose to share the truth. Before deciding, I was given one last vision. I saw myself addressing large groups, sharing my story with raw honesty, and inspiring others to find freedom by aligning with God's design. I witnessed people shedding tears of joy, feeling the weight of years lifted as they embraced healing and restoration. Yet, alongside the beauty, I also saw the cost. I would be labeled a bigot, a traitor to the LGBTQ+ community, and endure criticism far beyond what I thought I could bear. Friends I once held dear would turn their backs on me. Social media would erupt with attacks, and even threats to my safety would surface. But amidst all this, I saw the profound peace and strength that would come from living in truth. The choice became crystal clear. Despite the fear and uncertainty, I chose to return. The moment I made that decision, a wave of peace and purpose engulfed me, preparing me for the challenges to come. Just before re-entering my body, I received a final message. My mission was not to judge but to love, to help others find the truth I had been shown, with patience and compassion, remembering that I too had once been blind. Waking up in the hospital felt like being reborn. The physical agony was immense, but it paled compared to the spiritual awakening I had undergone. Daniel was sitting by my side, holding my hand, but deep down, I knew our relationship would never be the same. The following weeks were the hardest. Explaining my experience to Daniel was heart-wrenching. He believed my injuries had clouded my judgment and that I would revert once fully healed. But I knew the truth of what I had seen, and there was no going back. I sought out a supportive church community and began my challenging but necessary transformation. Each day brought its trials. My same-sex attractions didn't disappear overnight, but I was no longer controlled by them. I found strength in my faith and clarity in my purpose. My story quickly gained attention through social media. As expected, the backlash was intense. Former friends accused me of betraying the cause, of succumbing to internalized shame. But for every attack, there was another person who reached out privately, admitting their doubts, sharing their struggles, and expressing gratitude for my courage. Today, 2 years later, I lead a support group for those questioning their identity or seeking to step away from the LGBTQ+ lifestyle. This is not about conversion therapy or forcing change. It's about offering love, truth, and support to those who desire to align their lives with God's plan. The accident that nearly took my life ended up saving it, and not just mine. Each week, I hear from individuals who found hope and healing through my testimony. Some have chosen to leave their old lives behind, others are still wrestling with their decisions. But all now understand one undeniable truth: they are loved by God. This experience taught me that true love sometimes requires sharing difficult truths. The eternal stakes are far too high to remain silent. While I lost much of my old life, I gained something infinitely more valuable: the peace that comes with living authentically in God's truth. If this story resonated with you, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to turn on notifications to hear more life-changing testimonies. Share this message with someone who needs to hear it. Together, we can spread hope and help others find their way back to God's love.